Right, we're now going to have a look at actually having a double input in the motion detection, and this will just be for a basic gesture system, and it will be on the horizontal. We've already done the horizontal and vertical. Sorry, we've already done the vertical, and now I'm going to have a look at doing the horizontal. And it's pretty much the same code as what we did for the vertical code. Now we could actually create a list program to do this, but using a list or an array or whatever else you might call it for storing multiple data in one variable. But as I said, we're just going to have a look at doing it with some more variables. I'm going to call this left dia, so change all the code to left dia, and then change all this code to right dia, because these are two different inputs. That's right dia. I will change this to down dia, sorry, left dia, and this one to right dia. And if I run, there we go, that worked quite nicely. We'll change the acceleration to the x-axis, up, down. Left and right are working inversely, so they are. And you can see quite a few are flashing because I can do diagonals. It's now detecting diagonals, which is quite nice. It's a bit overly sensitive at the moment, but I'll just sort that out in a second. This is greater than 5, and this is less than -5, so that our directions work in the correct way. I'm just going to use smooth to smooth out the data. I'm going to enter 5, and this is basically smoothing out. I'm going to take 5 values and get the average instead of just taking the one value. Hence, that's what the number 5 does at the end. I'll do this again. If I can spell smooth correctly, there we go. And finally one more for this one. And stick it as 5, and we will run that. Oops, I did something wrong there. Smooth. Oh dear me. Right, there we have it. Whoa. Now you can see, well, that doesn't seem to work, and I've just realised why. It's actually giving me the data now. So you can actually see the data that's getting pushed into this value, which is quite nice. But we're not going to do that. I'm going to take out is greater than 5. Oops. And that needs to be outside the smooth function. This less than 5, -5, sorry, needs to be there. Again, less than -5. And finally, greater than 5. And the whole reason for this is we're actually checking the smoothed out value to see if any of that is greater or equal to our value that we actually want. And now you can see they're all set to false. So right, left, up, down, move that, down, up. Now the up and down are a bit twitchy, but you can work on finding the correct values and smoothing them out. But when you're actually doing direct movements, it actually works quite nicely. I can do diagonals, and you know that when it's a diagonal, if both data comes on at once. So we have nice slashes. You can see all this data actually happening now. Again, it could do with a bit more smoothing out, but as I said, it's really just a very basic motion detection. So it now works in diagonals as well as on the up and down. And finally, we can then work, if we want, on the Z, which is forward and backwards motion. And all we have to do is you have to copy this data. Let's paste it in here, and let's have a look. I'll call it 4 dia for forward, and that's going to be the back dia. 4, 4, this is going to be back, 4, and then change all these to back. And then we're going to change this to a Z axis. And we can run that. And again, I've got the forward and backward in reverse, which I seem to be doing quite a lot these days. So that means that one there is going to be greater than 5, and this one is going to be less than -5. And now I'm detecting the motion on all axes, and you see I could push forward, move left, and move up at the same time. So I've got a diagonal up and right and go forward, and the 3 come down, or I can come to backwards, and you can really get some nice slashes here. And to check out the motion and which way it's moving, all you have to do is check to see if 2 variables are true. So if up dia and if left dia, well, that means I'm going a diagonal from my bottom, from my right to my left and up that way. And also I had a bit of forward motion in it as well. So you see, you might have to change the values on your forward and backward motion. I currently got them set to 5. That's quite sensitive. I'm going to change that to 15. And then we'll check this out. And you see, there we go. So I can go forward. Forward and backwards now are overly sensitive, and I can't really get them to set off very well. So 15 is too high. So what you just have to do is get the correct value that you actually want to use. Once you've found it and it works nice, that's really good. So let's have a look. That's forward, backwards again. Before I've come to realize as well that the forward and backward are not actually as sensitive as the rest. So I'm going to set these all to 5. And I want to set the rest to around 8, something like that, because 5 is a tad bit sensitive, and you don't just want it to actually capture. But if you really wanted to smooth this out in the directions, what you would do is you'd set it extremely sensitive, something around about 2 or 3, but then you would only ever allow it to capture the direction if the motion was greater than, let's say, 8. But it doesn't really matter, because we have got, as I say, we've got quite a basic one. And there you go. And due to the sensitivity of the remotes, it does cause problems, which we can actually work on. But it's quite nice bit of code that you've got there. Now, hopefully this has all been okay and you've been able to follow it. I might touch on some more motion detection later on. I know I said I was going to have a look at possibly doing 2 motions. And I'll probably will go at that later on, but as for now I'm going to have another look at the infrared function, and we'll take it from there.